Breaking news from CTNN, the Chicago Theological News Network. CTNN has just received word of groundbreaking research from the late renowned biblical scholar Ted Jennings that Jesus of Nazareth, also known as Jesus the Christ of Christian theology, may have had a gay male lover. According to the book, The Man Jesus Loved, published by Jennings in 2003, the titular character, who is related several times in the Gospel of John, may, in fact, have been not just a special friend of the ancient teacher, but his beloved and his sexual partner. When receiving a report like this, which flies in the face of all popularly established Christian thought, CTNN always makes sure to first check out the reliability of our sources. We are not, after all, a tabloid news show and want to present only reliable, academically credible sources. Dr. Theodore W. Jennings, known to friends as Ted, was born October 24th, 1942. He studied at Duke University as an undergraduate before completing a Bachelor's of Divinity and a doctorate at Emory University, earning the latter in 1971. He was ordained as a Methodist minister and has taught both at Seminario Metodista in Mexico City and Chicago Theological Seminary in Chicago, Illinois. Experiencing a close relationship with a gay man whom Ted said, quote, did him the honor of falling in love with him, quote, before eventually passing away of AIDS in the 90s, Ted devoted much of his academic and professional life to liberation theology and bridging the gap between LGBTQIA+ folks and the Christian community. Respected by friends and derided as a heretic by critics, Ted founded the Gay Studies program at CTS, which has since evolved to become the Center for LGBTQ Religious Studies. Ted was an outspoken advocate against homophobia and recorded a video for the It Gets Better program in 2010. Having authored numerous books, Ted retired from CTS in 2017. In 2020, he passed away suddenly at his second home in Mexico from a stroke. He is survived by his life partner, Rona Case. Dr. Jennings' significant body of work and expertise in the fields of both biblical hermeneutics and LGBTQIS+ religious studies makes him a more than qualified theologian to make such a radical claim as that described at the beginning of our broadcast. But what of Dr. Jennings' claim to new knowledge about the personal love life of one of the most famous men in history? Was Jesus of Nazareth a gay man? Jennings points out that this question in and of itself is something of an anachronism. The idea of having a discrete sexual orientation is a relatively recent development in human history. In the Greco-Roman society surrounding Judea at the time of Jesus' ministry, social assumptions were that most people were what we in this modern day would call bisexual or pansexual. That is, the gender of their sexual partner was not particularly important to their overall position in life or personal identity. Sexuality was instead in the realm of individual actions, relationships, and experiences. The question, therefore, of whether Jesus was gay is not one with which he or his contemporaries would have been concerned. Nevertheless, Dr. Jennings' work suggests that the individual known as the man Jesus loved, or the disciple that Jesus loved, was likely his sexual partner rather than simply a close friend. In the text of John, he cites descriptions of physical and emotional intimacy, as well as Jesus' connecting of the disciple to his own mother, tying together beloved and kin as one would a parent and child-in-law. Jesus' special treatment of this disciple, as well as his insistence that this man wait for him to return, are acknowledged and expected by his friends. While the disciple Jesus loved appeared by name only in the Gospel of John, the Synoptic Gospels leave some traces of this figure visible as well. The nude youth in Mark and secret Mark, a text thought to predate the official canonical Mark, but to be closer to the original text as written by Clement, connects well with the rich young man whom Jesus looked on with love. Connecting these threads of his story through the other Gospels, one can see that in spite of each being written for a specific audience with a specific agenda, Jesus' lover's presence can be seen throughout. According to Jennings, this is entirely in keeping with the teachings of Christ, which are significantly at odds with the erotophobia, homophobia, and misogyny, which often masquerades as Christian ethics in our contemporary day. CTNN has received reports that the Nazarene has been seen consorting with prostitutes and other sexually questionable individuals, as well as healing the boyfriend of a Roman official without any thought to correcting their, quote, lifestyle choices. He has also been known to provide copious alcohol for late night parties, enjoy feasting with tax collectors, and invite women of all walks of life into his inner circle. In fact, reports suggest that the, quote, family values, which are so often associated with Christ's followers, may be entirely contradictory to his message. According to Jennings, Christ opposed the traditional family as upholding economic and patriarchal oppression, preferring the, quote, chosen family model often adopted in our time by the LGBTQIA+ community. His outright rejection of these traditional values and traditional gender roles follows with his vision of a new world order in which equality of all is the rule of the day. This is in stark contrast to the use of said, quote, values to condemn homosexuality and transgender individuals. Based on available evidence, it is the judgment of this reporter that the possibility of Jesus of Nazareth being engaged in a same-sex relationship is both credible and likely. But who is this mystery man? Tradition holds that the disciple Jesus loved was St. John, the writer of the gospel. This is, however, most likely a misdirect on the part of historical leaders. According to Jennings, much more likely candidates are Lazarus, the brother of Mary and Martha, and Andrew, brother of Simon Peter. Based on the threads traced through the Synoptic Gospels and Secret Mark, it is the belief of CTN News that most likely the partner of Jesus Christ was Lazarus. CTNN has reached out to God, of whom Jesus is considered to be a person in Trinity, for comment on this story, but has received no response as of this recording. This revelation has left many church leaders scrambling for direction. While some have cried foul, others find this text to be helpful in welcoming and affirming their LGBTQIA+ friends, family, and community members. Studying this text in detail may give new light both to those who have been harmed by the church's anti-woman and anti-LGBTQIA+ stance, as well as those who have suffered from the teaching of purity culture as what the only true way to the Father. Questions still remain at this hour, however. What does this mean for teachings on Christ and family in the future? If Jesus himself disapproved of the central family model of society, what are contemporary family-centered people to do in order to follow his teachings? What does the possibility of Christ having a romantic partner mean for those who have selected celibacy in order to follow Christian teachings? We encourage our contributors to share their thoughts in the forums following this broadcast. Thank you, and from CTNN News, good night.